so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads. Welcome to a very special episode dedicated to none other than you, the P-heads themselves. I am your P-head enthusiast and hostess for the day, Alexa Hauser. I have been blessed to have the experience of helping out with Positive Head social media for the better part of a year. And through my digital interactions, I began to realize, as did Brandon, that we have some incredible beings listening to this show who are taking the information that Brandon puts out through the podcast and using it to transform their lives and create wonderful things. You listeners are all a huge, huge part of the life force that propels this show forward through time and space, and we think it's time to bring forth some of you beautiful reflections and delve a little deeper into this collection of energy that is the Positive Head community. So as we shine the spotlight on our listeners, what we'll have them do is share their stories of how they attracted Positive Head into their life, the transformation it's facilitated for them, and what they're focused on creating now that they're in a more positive headspace. Also, this episode of the Positive Head podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Hello, all you positive heads. On this week's P-Head Posse episode, our guest is Ambrosia Matthews. Ambi, as most of you know her, or Ambrosia, has been on this segment 2 other times, but I actually had a gap in my scheduling this week. I realized I was like, wait, for the first time ever, I don't have anyone ready for this week. Oh no. And whenever that happens, I almost take it as a sign. It's like, maybe I should bring Ambi back on. So first of all, hi, Ambi. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. So happy to have you back on here.
Thanks for having me back on here.
Yeah, so
even though there was no one else, I appreciate being back on.
You were my last resort. You're my backup girl. Just kidding. You're my front row girl. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Ambi and I we have a podcast called Innerbloom that we record a few days a week. And but the cool thing is, well, there's a couple cool things. So one cool thing is we just hit 100 episodes today on our podcast. But the cooler thing about that is, and why this is all coming full circle with this podcast, is that Ambi and I actually met through Positive Head. She was a guest on this segment before we knew each other. She reached out to me, came on, I did an interview. She told me her story.
When was that? Do you remember?
It was like in June. No, it was, oh my gosh, you know what it was?
It was almost like a year ago.
No, it was March. Yeah, it was because it was before I went on my EFT retreat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, so it's so crazy. All the times are syncing up. Totally full circle. Yeah. So she came on, we did that interview, and then she and I just kept talking, and we realized we had a lot in common, and we realized we had a lot of similar goals, and eventually we decided to start a podcast. And then one of the other things that started happening when we started talking was, so Ambi has been a psychic. Happening? No, I was going to say, I wanted to give a little backstory for those who, there's a lot of new people who are constantly joining Positive Head. So I just want to give a little backstory for people who don't know you. So Ambi has been a psychic medium since she was 5. Do you want to give a little of your bio, Ambi?
Sure, I would love to. So I've been able to connect to the non-physical since I was 5 years old. I was always afraid of it as a child. I was told I was crazy. I was told I was making it up. It's all in my head, blah, blah, blah. And then my brother passed away several years ago. And when him and I were not close by any means when he was living, I didn't know a lot of things about him, but when he died, I could feel it. He showed me how he died. He showed me who was involved. He showed me different things that there's no way I would have known with his girlfriend and different people that were very close to him in his life. So that really solidified that it's not in my head. I'm not making this up. This is real. From there, I started working with other intuitives. And again, it was kind of reinstating all my fears, just going to a very dark place with it. And then I met Alexa, and Alexa was the one that was like, yeah, why can't you, I don't know, talk to Gandhi, for example. Why can't you, connect to all these people? Let's just do it. Let's just try. And so we were really, in the beginning, we were really just experimenting and seeing like, how far can we push this? What can we do? Right. And one day her and I were on the phone, and it wasn't for any particular reason. I was giving her a reading, and the information that was coming through, she just wasn't getting. It wasn't like sticking. I was like, well, that doesn't really make sense. And I felt this entity next to me. It wasn't like a human, because it was much, much taller than a human. And I felt this entity next to me, and he said, let me have the phone. And if you're watching the video, I was talking on the phone like this, vertically, like how you normally do, the side of your face. And I turned it to where you could only hear the voice. I couldn't hear anything that she was saying, that Alexa was saying back to me. And what came out, I don't even remember what came out.
It was, I remember.
What was it?
It was like, when Alexa speaks, we listen. When you speak, when we speak, Alexa listens. When Alexa speaks, we listen. It was like, and then it was like two more sentences, but it came out very quickly and like very staccato, like when this happens, this happens. When this happens, this happens. And I just literally was like, what was that? Because I knew it wasn't Andy. Like, it definitely was not her.
I remember you saying, what was that? And then after that, I freaked out. I was like, what just happened? And so then again, I tried it that night with my husband. I was like, okay, I want you to record what's happening. And I still have that recording. It was kind of crazy. And so then Alexa and I decided that we were going to get to know this entity, what was going on here. Am I channeling as like what's happening? And what came out was that we were channeling an Arcturian entity called John. And the reason that he is called John is because what he says is names are irrelevant. So pick any name. And he had like a Rolodex of names that he showed me. And John was the most human name he could come up with. So we've been connecting to John for about a year. Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting too, because like right before this happened, when Ambi first channeled him, we had been on the phone like a week before, and somehow the topic of ETs came up. And I just remember specifically Ambi being like, don't even talk about it. Like, don't even say, don't even bring it up. Don't even
bring it up. Yeah, they're listening.
Yeah, they're listening. And I'm like, are you afraid? Because to me, I just like, it was so interesting to me because Ambi is like, you got to like put this in perspective. I'm someone that my entire life, I've been so fascinated with this. Like, I'm fascinated with like conspiracy theories and like what's really going on and like what really can we do? But everyone around me being like, you're crazy. Like again, other people telling me I'm crazy for like believing in it, right? Or believing it could be real, or that psychics are real, or mediums are real, or whatever. And so then, but my whole life, like I've secretly like wanted to be able to do all this, to like be able to communicate or to be able to have ESP or to whatever, to connect to non-physical. So anyway, when I meet Ambi and she's like, oh yeah, I've been a psychic since I was 5 essentially. And, but then she says, but that she's terrified of ETs. Like, to me, it's basically in the same category. Like, I didn't really understand that. So anyway, she explicitly said, she's like, I'm just really freaked out about talking about them because I feel like I'm going to meet one and I really don't want to meet one.
Yep.
And it was like not like 3 or 4 days later that this happened. And it's been like the biggest blessing. Like it's been the biggest gift and the biggest learning experience ever. And even more than that. So what John is essentially, you know, he's our guide. Like he guides us on everything. He guides us on everything that we're doing together. We're essentially, Ambi and I are essentially life partners at this point. So we have joined all our assets basically, or are
we
about
have a house
to.
together.
Yeah, we essentially, yeah. And the reason why we've done that is because John has made it like pretty clear that not only have we spent many, many lifetimes together, but that this lifetime we intended to spend together creating a lot of the things that we're working on now. Which is pretty mind-blowing. And I just want to kind of drill that home because here we are on Positive HeAd, which is this podcast that brought us together. Mm-hmm. And
pretty wild.
Yeah, really wild. And I also just want to add, and I've said this on a previous podcast here, but like this podcast has brought me every single thing in my life that I love, like everything, which I just want to take another moment to thank Brandon and just thank everyone in this community for just like coming together and creating this, like all of us. It's just so amazing and cool. And I want to say, and I remember thinking this morning, that I wanted to specifically say this when we recorded this, that if you're a part of this community and you're listening and you feel like there's something you want to do, or there's something you want to create, or there's some relationship you want to have, or friendship you want to have, mm-hmm. get involved in this group, because I have this very strong feeling that a lot of us are supposed to connect with a lot of us and do things with a lot of each other. Like just the way that Ambi and I connected, and it turned out we've had all these past lives together and we specifically intended to come together in this one. Like I feel that that's what's happening with a lot of you. That you, whatever you're looking for, a lot of it is going to be able to come through this community. So get involved, like start talking to other people, start communicating, being open, start experimenting, and just like, you know, seeing who else is in here, because I really think this is a vehicle for connection and for bringing people together who are meant to be together to do something larger. So,
or who feel alone. You know, yeah. I remember feeling so alone before I had this community. I remember feeling like nobody gets me and I'm a freak. Mm-hmm. And I really just want to say thank you to Brandon. Thank you so much, because not only is it amazing that everything has happened, but it's amazing that like we still have this community and how just supportive everybody is. The other thing, before we started our podcast and before I got really, really busy and everything, I was pretty active in the community. I feel like I was pretty active in the Facebook group. I need to work on that, but nobody's perfect. But the other thing is reach out to people, like Alexa was saying, because that's how you step outside your comfort zone, and that's how you make those connections and how you don't feel alone. And everybody in this community is super supportive. So if you do feel alone, you can always literally put a post out that says, "Hey, I feel alone," and people will be right there to help you. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And, yeah. No, it's just truly amazing. It's like so amazing. And just on that note, like as Ambi was saying before this community, that's exactly how I felt. So alone before I found Positive HeAds, but also like even after that, I just was having this memory today of before I met Ambi, how I would just walk around my city, because I had quit this path that I was on, this job that I was doing. I knew I wanted to go in a spiritual direction and personal development, but I had no clue what I wanted to do. And I would kind of freaked out, like, because I just literally, like, I was like, I can't do that anymore. And I know I want to help people, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So every day, like, I just remember my partner would go to work and I would just start to have so much anxiety, like, oh my God, I have to do something, but what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? And I would just sit there and like try to come up with things. I would listen to Positive HeAd over and over. I would listen to I remember actually one of the things I found, I was telling Amy this earlier today, but this is just the power of manifestation and visualization and your desire. But one of the things I would do is I found this YouTube channel. It was called Channeling Eric, and it was a mom whose son had died early, and it's a long story, but essentially she, through other mediums, started communicating with him, and he started really helping her understand that there was more life after death, etc. So the two of them, him in non-physical and her in physical, started a YouTube channel where they would do like celebrity spirit interviews and stuff. And I told Ambi, I just remember sitting there and just watching these interviews and watching these mediums connect with like Martin Luther King and like, you know, I don't know, like all kinds of awesome people. Like, if I remember one was like Paul Walker. I don't know, just like people in spirit. Yeah, we talked to Paul Walker. But
he's gorgeous. He's gorgeous when he's not here. Holy hell. I was very flustered. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's I digress. Okay. No, but like, I just remember sitting there and watching those YouTube videos and just being like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And these people are the luckiest people ever that they get to like have this experience. And I would just die if I got to have that experience, and like, wow. And I just remember sitting there in awe and just like feeling almost pain that I like couldn't have that experience. And I just had the realization like yesterday, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I do every day now. Like with Ambi, like literally this is what I do. I manifested that same experience, but I'm living it. And it's cool to look back and realize that. And also to realize like I walked around every day just not knowing, just feeling like I wanted to help people, but I had no idea how. And finally, I think I just started opening the doors to just opening the places where I felt scared and closed down. I just slowly started opening up a little bit by little bit. And it was like a little thing would come in, a little more would come in. But finally it was like the second that I opened up enough to let Ambi in, it was like, then everything started moving very fast. Cause like, you know, when you have someone else that's validating you, it feels safer.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was just going to say. So it's funny because, I remember going to a psychic when I was 25, and he said, someday you'll be able to see spirits. And I went, oh, hell no. Like, oh my goodness. I was so scared. I was like, I don't want that. And I remember as a kid, I would pray and I would be like, please just make this go away. Please just make me not feel this. Please just make me not hear them. Because when I was a child, hearing was really big. And the same thing with aliens. I would be like, please don't let me hear them. But it was kind of like when you showed up, I get this image of us like, oh no, it's okay. Here, take my hand and I'll help you.
Yeah.
And it just made everything safer.
It's like, I imagine like little kids playing
like two
pretend.
Little girls. Like, no, it's
like
okay.
Like exploring and like looking for the monsters or whatever, and it being fun and like not scary.
Yeah.
I love that image, and I get the same image. And speaking of that, something I also want to share is like, so just to give you guys an idea of like what's been happening since in this year that we've connected with John. He has helped us so much. Like, it's ridiculous what has happened to our lives. Like, I mean, Ambi, you, like, when we first started talking, you were working at a job you really didn't like.
I really didn't like. I still don't like. I'm not there, but I still don't like
it. And you were terrified to leave or do anything else.
Yeah.
Or even to charge for your services. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I actually had a couple people recently that got readings from me, and they were like, oh, you gave me a reading for free. Like, I think I was your first reading. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. No, yeah, but I was giving my readings away because I didn't feel like there was value in it. And I didn't have enough confidence to charge, to be honest. Like, that's 100% what it was.
I remember you said specifically, you were like, I just want to help, and I just feel bad. You said something about like, I just imagine this like somebody who has just lost somebody, and I just feel bad, taking money from them or something like that. And like, which I understood at the time, but like very quickly, like as we started talking, that changed. Like your feeling started changing, which is awesome because like this is a service, just like, anything is. And now you've left that job
Now I've left that job, quite excited. And everything's different. It's amazing. Like we were talking about this today, how everything is different. I'm doing multiple readings a week. My goals keep changing. So I don't know if I'll ever be where I want to be. Right. But, I've taken more intuitive classes. Taking classes with Colby, which is pretty exciting. I'm teaching classes, which is bananas. Mm-hmm. And people are learning from me, so that's exciting. Pat on the back for me. What else? We are talking to celebrities that have passed away, which is pretty cool. We literally spoke to Gandhi yesterday, which was the highlight of my whole day. We've spoken to Mr. Rogers. Who else?
Avicii.
Avicii. That's a good story.
Yeah, that we don't have that one in the podcast. Princess Diana. We talked to Kate Spade, but she wasn't on the podcast.
Who else?
We had that
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, yeah, I like that one. We also had a really random podcast where I had this brilliant idea. Oh, we talked to some goddesses. We talked to
yeah, those were fun.
Mary Magdalene and goddess Artemis and Pele as well.
Pele, yep. Mm-hmm.
But I had this idea one episode that we did of our podcast, Innerbloom. I had this idea one day. I was like, I'm feeling like, let's just be random. I was like, let's just see. Why don't we just see who wants to come through? Like,
through?
Just whoever. Like, just sit down with the intention of whoever wants to come through. And all of a sudden, Ambi gets this Ramones song in her head. Mm-hmm. And then it comes out that and then it's pretty clear that one of the Ramones is trying to connect. And then Ambi starts not yelling at, but lecturing this Ramone brother because apparently he's continued to try to hijack every single one of her readings. And now he's trying to hijack this. And I was like, because I kept saying, well, why does he want to come through? She's like, he wants us to deal with some lawsuit or something. I was like, but what does that have to do with Innerbloom or our listeners? And she's like, nothing. He's just trying to hijack this. She's like, so I'm sorry, but I cannot help you right now. And then the funny thing about that is the next thing that happened was somehow we end up talking to Heath Ledger and Paul Walker at the same time in the same episode. I don't even know how they got into it. And then they start giving me advice on having a baby. I don't even know.
That was a good day for me.
Yo, actually,
good day for me.
That was that was a good day for you because you were with your celeb crushes.
I know,
that's the
right?
thing.
I'm
it's
just
so
sitting
unfair.
there.
How do you just get to hang out with your celebrity crushes? Why can't I do that?
I mean, technically you were there.
I know, but I don't get to see them, and I don't. Oh, we talked to Mac Miller too. Remember?
I was just thinking that. Yeah, that went south real fast. So.
Spirits are funny, man. They're
Spirits
funny.
Are the same as they were when they're living.
They don't change, really. Not very much.
No.
That is something that I've noticed a lot with spirits and John, someone like John. I was telling Ambi this yesterday too. It's spirits are kind of just they're this container of a personality, and they're kind of just yep. When you talk to them, you kind of think they're gonna give you all these crazy stories and they'll answer things, but they're still it's very limited in certain ways. Whereas when you what?
I was gonna say, I think it's to verify who they were as we knew them.
Yeah.
Because I think about, so this is a pretty cool story that I'm gonna share. I'm not gonna share who it was, but someone wanted me to connect to, I can't remember if it was their grandmother or their mother. I can't remember. I think it was their mother. I digress. And I kept seeing chocolate chip cookies. And I'm like, there are so many chocolate chip cookies. Why are chocolate chip cookies everywhere? And she was like, actually, when I was a child, we were on a game show. And we won first place. And the prize was, I think it was something like this. I could be telling the story wrong. But the irrelevant part was they were on a game show. And I think they won a lifetime supply of chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, my gosh.
Or they had to eat a bunch of chocolate chip cookies. But the chocolate chip cookies were because of the game show. And it was so cool because I was like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. How Spirit showed me that. I was so excited about that one.
Yeah. Spirits are funny. I don't know.
Spirits are funny. I like them. And now I see them and physically see them sometimes. And I'm like, oh, yeah, can you come back tomorrow? Is that okay? Or
Yeah.
can't really do this right now. Or,
They're like on that sitcom, the neighbor that just walks through the door and is like, hey, what's up? And you're like, because in real life, you're like, that's just intruding. Like, you can't just show up. Like, who does that? But spirits do that. And you're like, can you just come back at a better time?
can you just come back later? Is that
It's
cool?
like you have appointments with spirits. Like, the way you describe it to me sometimes is that they like show up and kind of like wait for you or wait for like right times. Like when you would do your group readings, they would like, you would describe that like when you would do your live streams, like you describe that like all the spirits would like essentially get word that like you were communicating with people and they would like line up behind you.
10 grandmas deep.
10 grandmas deep. For all the live streamers from like a year ago. You might remember that one. But I just wanted to talk about like, yeah. So, and for me, like what's changed since we started talking to John is, like moving through so much fear. I mean, you too, Ambi, but moving through so much fear about just doing this, like fear about, first of all, just talking and creating this. Like when we first created this podcast, I was so excited and so freaking terrified at the exact same time. I like thought everyone was going to come after me and people were think I'm crazy. And I mean, there's
pitchforks.
Yeah, the pitchforks. Yeah, totally imagining that. But also, like, I even thought it was threatening my relationships. And I was just like, I was constantly like in a state of like upheaval and worry and fear. And, you know, John has like worked with me through that to help me get like a lot of clarity on why I feel the way I feel. He's helped so much with money and finances. He's helped so much with our business, like with our having confidence. He's even thrown us into some situations that I was like, didn't want to be in and was scared to be in. But ultimately, like in the end, they ended up being so much for our good and so much for our growth. And, you know, it's like, really, I think it's been amazing to have a guide, because what I'm realizing a guide is like they aren't the person that they're not here to give you the answers. They're not here to just say like, you know, even the other day we were planning something. This is such a good example. We have retreats. So we have actually a retreat coming up in a couple weeks for our podcast. But we're planning whoop, but we're planning another one for the fall right now, technically. And we had asked John, where is this going to be? And he said, it will be in a place where the flowers bloom. And I said, okay, can you be a little more specific?
I love your John impersonation.
Well, it's just so like, I said, can you be a little more specific? He said, and then I said, and then in my head popped this place that Ambi had connected with recently. I was like, is it that place that Ambi connected with? And he goes, yes. And I go, oh, okay, great. And he goes, yeah. And so then Ambi calls that place like a little while later, and the person who owns the place is like, no, like, nope. And she's like, what? And this person's just like, no, definitely not. Like, closed for the rest of the year, don't want to do retreats. And I'm just like so confused. So then we asked John about it again, and he's like, well, Alexa, why don't you call her? And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, like whatever. So I call her today. And I'm expecting her to be like, I don't know, I'm expecting
red
something
carpet.
to roll out the red carpet.
Do it.
Oh, I've had a change of heart, you know. So I call, and she's super nice, but she again tells me off the bat, nope, I'm not doing retreats for the rest of the year. And part of me is like, shouldn't I like protest right now? Shouldn't I like John said like that this was a place. John said for me to call her. Shouldn't I like, you know, like what's going on? But something told me, just relax, just listen to her, just go with it. So all of a sudden this woman goes, but you know what? And I'm like, what? She's like, there is this other place. And I'm like, oh, what other place? She's like, yeah, it's just 10 minutes down the road. And she tells me the name of it. And after she tells me the name of it, I Google it. And on the front of the website is blooming flowers everywhere in a field. And literally, like, there's updates on the website that's like, the flowers are all in bloom here right now, and all about the flowers blooming everywhere. And literally, I got this feeling when I saw the place. I was like, this is the place. This is what he's talking about. So what I realized was, we wanted John to give us the answer. We wanted John to just be like, yeah, it's here, here, and here. You're done. Good. To carry on with your day. You have to do nothing or figure out any of this, right? And we thought that he had done that essentially. But what we realized was that he didn't. He actually was leading us there and giving us the fun of figuring it out on our own. Because guess what, guys? That's the fun part.
Mm-hmm. That's like one of the big things that he shared. Like, that's one of the big takeaways that I have from this experience is that we didn't come here just to experience the happy stuff. We didn't come here just to get to the final destination. We came here to experience everything. Sadness, happiness, sorrow, anger, all of it. Because that's what being a human is. It's not, cool, I have the answers, I'm going to go do this now. Bye. It's feeling these emotions and trying to figure it out like a puzzle.
Yes. Yeah, because you know what the metaphor I got, or the image I got in my head recently, it's a good metaphor of this. It's like if you were playing a video game, right? When you play a video game and you start the video game, it would be like if you had someone right next to you just saying, now go left, now jump in that thing. Now get the thing. Now, and they're telling you exactly what to do in the video game the entire time. It's like backseat driving. It's awful. Yeah, but especially so in a game, the whole reason you're playing the game is so that you can be like, oh, what's this? Jump on that. Oh, I figured it out. Okay, great, cool. Oh, wait, no, I don't want to go there. Oh, shit, I just died. That's the whole
restart.
Yeah, restart, start over, new life. That is the whole point. So if you have someone there that's just saying, first you go left, then you go right, then you jump on the thing, then you do the thing, then you do the thing. It's literally like you don't even want to play anymore. So it's like, that's the good thing. That's the cool thing to realize. It's like your guides are there for you and they're guiding you, but they're not doing it for you. And they don't want to do it for you. And you don't want them to do it for you is the thing.
Yeah, you really don't. You don't want them to do it for you because that takes the fun out of it. Yeah. And I think the other thing that John, who is not just our guide, it's a collective energy of Arcturians, but John is like the dominant one. But they have been a lot of our guides, and a lot of people from our podcast have actually connected with them. So try to connect with them after we do this. But going back to this, it's like showing you that you're essentially afraid of nothing, right? You're afraid, you think this really bad thing's going to happen, and they're guiding you and they're showing you like, all is well. You're fine. You're safe. It's okay.
Like even when something bad happens, you're still, something quote unquote bad happens, you're still okay. Like they've still got you.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to share, and we'll get into the channeling soon, but I also just wanted to share that another huge thing that's happened for me since we started talking to John, and this has just happened recently for me, is that, like I said, I've never seen anything. Like I've never seen a spirit. I've never, that I know of, like I've never really, like I think I'm much more clairsentient than anything. Like I think I definitely just know things and I get feelings about things and I'm just like, okay, I just know that. But in terms of seeing things, like I've never really been that way with this stuff. Obviously Ambi sees quite a bit and hears quite a bit. So something really cool that has been happening, especially recently, is I have been seeing physically John. And the first time was in the middle of the night. I got up for some reason. This was like a month ago or something. I got up for some reason. I couldn't sleep. I went to the kitchen. I don't know what happened. I came back to bed. I laid down in bed. And right when I laid down in bed, I saw out of the corner of my eye a really, really, really tall being standing right next to my bed. And it felt very loving and safe. And I kind of just was like, huh? But it was in the middle of the night. And then I just went to bed. And I asked about it later and he was like, yes, that was us. And I was like, cool. But then what was even cooler was, this was like just a few weeks ago, I was in my kitchen and I was washing a dish and I'm just like in a fine mood, whatever. I'm just like thinking of nothing. I'm washing a dish, and out of the corner of my eye, I see from my front door to like walking past the kitchen, I literally see it walking, a black figure, tall, very tall, like black, like robes or shadowy figure. And it was so cool to actually see that and realize that like I'm seeing things now. Like I'm seeing actually physically things now. And I also am starting to sometimes hear things. And it's just cool because it makes me realize, I'm like, look, if I'm starting to have these experiences, then we all can, because I'm telling you, I've had like the least amount of those experiences of anyone, which is why I'm so fascinated with this stuff. So and like Ambi said, a lot of our listeners are starting to channel John as well. Like they can connect in all different ways. Some are automatic writing with him. Some are channeling, like they're just hearing him, tuning in with him. I mean, they're all kind of connecting in their own ways and feeling him. And it's very, very cool. So yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we get into it?
We shall.
Shall we bring on John? Or so as we've been channeling John, there's been other, and as Ambi said, there's been other.
Do you want to explain who John is?
John?
Well, no, like, okay. So John, because what we discovered throughout the course of this year is that there are different entities that come through. It sounds a little scary, but it's all calm and loving, I promise. But the tone changes and the pace, the cadence changes definitely. And so it doesn't feel the same. So we just asked, like, what is happening? And what he said, correct me if I'm wrong, but what he said was that it's like, it's kind of like a class that he's teaching.
Yeah, he has like students that want to be able to guide humans as well, and they study and learn from him. And sometimes he lets them. It's cool to think about. He's like sometimes he lets them drive. Yeah, and they get really excited. And so we've had like other entities come through, like Zara, and this really cute female energy, a feminine energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the other one? Zion.
Yeah, Zion was specifically for Leah. I don't remember feeling him after that.
No, well, there's another guy another time.
Yeah, there's another. I don't know if we ever got his name.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it's cool. There's lots of them. So
anyway, so sometimes there's a pause, and that's they're connecting. They're talking with each other.
Oh yeah, they sometimes
Googling.
Yeah. Sometimes they're just talking amongst themselves, deliberating. Okay.
Deliberating. There we go.
Let's do it. Bring on John.
Thank you for allowing us to come today.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. So, John, for those, or for everyone, for the Positive Head listening audience, do you feel called to share anything about who you are and what you do?
Who we are has always been here to help you, the many beings of this planet. We are here to help guide. We are here to help show, explain how to love, how to grow, how to share with each other. We have come many times before and will continue to come many times in the future to many different humans.
So, can you talk to us about what's going on with the planet right now?
The planet is going in her own transition, her own trajectory. And this is causing many changes for you. And it is advisable to hold on. hold on tight for the ride. But all is well. She is going through many changes. She will continue to go through them, as she has done in the past. It is not the end, as many of you think. This is just midway point.
And how are we doing, like, in this trajectory? Are we, like, on point? Are we behind? Are we ahead?
It is not a contest. There is no ahead or behind. As is everyone's growth, it is individualized to each of you. It is individualized to her, your planet. There is no right path or wrong path. There is no ahead or behind. There is no good nor bad. It is just your path, your choice. Now, when you come to understand this, you release the idea that there needs to be one way over the other. That is when there will be peace within yourselves, within your collective, within your species.
So I'm going to ask this question because I know I saw it, or I know Brandon actually read it on today's episode of Positive Head. I'm in the group right now. I'm trying to find it, but I remember what it was. Someone was asking, because I just would like to hear your take on this, John. How can we believe that they were asking, how can we believe that everything's okay when and everything is perfect and everything is as it's meant to be when there are such things going on as war and people are dying and children are dying and people are being raped? I mean, I'm just thinking of, terrible things, right? And mass shootings and all this. Like, how can we believe that we are loved and that everything is perfect and everything's working out for us?
Everything is working out. Now, the other option would be that you would live in a utopia. The other option would be that there would be no bad things happening, right?
Yes.
With that, there will be no growth. There will be no learning. With these bad things that happen, you are learning. You are learning much faster, much quicker than you would if only good things were to happen. Now, in the very close view that you have on this planet, looking at each other and seeing something as though a mass shooting, that does look terrible. When you expand your viewpoint out and you look at the grander scale, you see the growth. You see how the planet has changed. You see how humanity has changed. You see how the country has changed. And you see the growth that has happened. But looking at this on ground level, you are unable to see this. It is only when you look at it from an aerial perspective that you are able to see the bigger picture. Did that answer your question?
I guess what is the bigger picture from your perspective?
From our perspective, the bigger picture is always choice. That is why you come. You get to choose. What role would I like to play this time? What game would I like to play, as you put it? What position should I be in? Where should I put myself in lack? Where should I put myself in abundance? Where should I put myself in fear? You have so many choices. So from our perspective, it is choice.
Okay. And what do other planets like? So I know that like we, some of us choose to have lifetimes here and some of us have had lifetimes on other planets, or we all have, I don't know. So what does Earth offer that what does Earth offer that other planets don't offer?
War, conflict, heartbreak, sadness. On a larger scale, at a quicker pace, on a more consistent basis.
Okay. And so when we're not on Earth, and let's say we're just in non-physical, what are we doing there in non-physical?
It is individualized. Some of you have decided to look over, make sure things are still going adequately. Some of you have decided to come back. Some of you have decided to see what other dimensions have to offer. Some of you have decided to stay in non-physical, be among us, not with us, but among us.
Do we have okay, so in non-physical, do we have relationships there? Do we have this is weird, but it's probably in my head. Do we have romantic relationships in non-physical with people, with other entities?
Not in the way that you know it currently as a human. You have a romantic relationship with everyone because you love everyone. Mm-hmm. However, if you are speaking of sex, then no, you do not.
No, I guess I was talking more partnership. And do we live somewhere? Do we have something that we would consider a home there?
No, homes are not necessary in the way that you know them here. It would be difficult to explain where you go at the end of the day. There is no work. So it is not necessary to clock out and sleep and enjoy life, because that is all you do is enjoy. So it is much different than you know it now.
Okay. So let's talk about, this community, the Positive HeAd community, because not a download, but a realization I was coming to today was that if Ambi and I found each other through this community and we intended to come together in this lifetime to create everything that we're working on creating now, then mustn't there be so many other connections coming through this community?
There are many connections coming through every community. There are many connections coming through this community, but the connections that are coming through this community, that will continue to come through this community, are unique. Because what is coming through this community are helpers. Helpers in the aspect of you want to lift each other up, both in the community and outside of the community. And so as the community grows, the love grows, the helping grows, the sharing grows, the conflict lessens. It will never dissipate. It will lessen. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I feel that. I was just talking about that today, from our community with our podcast. I feel the more I focused on that, the more I've deepened and enriched those relationships and just focused on the community that we're building, the more all the worries and all the fears and all of that about everything I was worried about before with other people, it just falls away. It's not even a factor for me right now. really.
Everyone wants to be loved. All entities. There is no exception. The difference in humanity is that fear of rejection, fear of betrayal, fear of pain, holds you back from living in your full potential of loving and being loved. All want to be accepted and loved. And yet you are the ones that are stopping yourselves from reaching this.
And what are some ways, like Ambi, I know talks about how she, I know what we're talking about now is like, we stop ourselves because we're not in a state of love, right? We're not like in a high vibration. And what are some ways to get into that vibration? What are some, I know Ambi talks about, like before she does reading, she jumps up and down in her bouncy chair because it helps her raise her vibration. But what are some ways that people listening can get more into a state of love more often?
Understanding perspectives, understanding that everyone, all intentions are noble from each perspective. Instead of looking at the situation from only one vantage point, looking at the situation from all vantage points would be the best way to achieve this goal. It is not the same as raising the vibration. The actions that you take will raise the vibration. Do you understand the difference?
Yes, I do. But what's the what's your focus doing then?
Your focus is changing the way you are viewing your source of the world, changing the way that you are viewing your point of the world. And therefore, you're operating from the best point of the world that you can. And each of you will do the same. And this occurrence will raise the vibration. It is unrealistic to expect your vibration to be elevated at all times, but still knowing that you are operating from a frequency of love, even when you are sad, will raise the vibration, will seek or have you experience what you are wanting to experience.
Yeah, I noticed that as I continue on my journey, like, whereas in the beginning of this whole thing, if I would get distraught or upset, I would kind of like go into this dark hole for a while and it would be really hard to get out. And I would kind of just want to like, it was like, I didn't want to feel better. I did, but it felt too hard. And now it's like, I go there for a second when something happens and then something in me is like, but let's feel better now. Or like, let's take this time. There's like a voice that's like, but let's like, I want to feel in the state of love instead of getting into this kind of like resentful, kind of like a childlike mode. So yeah, like I see what you're saying. It's like you can still remain in a state of love, even if you're sad. You can still know that that the universe cares about you and loves you, even if you're feeling sad or something doesn't go your way. Right.
Mm-hmm. This is correct.
Great. And what about, this is just coming up now, just one more question before we wrap up, then we have to wrap up. What do we do about like, just feeling, I don't know. Can you speak a little bit about feeling about embracing our unique selves? I've had a lot coming up around my physical identity lately. I feel like as I get deeper into my layers, I'm having personally a lot of like physical judgment. And I'm like, whoa, this is pretty intense. Like, and I'm wondering, how can those of us who are going through that, because I feel like it's happening for a lot of us as well. What are some ways to accept who we are and embrace who we are and embrace our individuality when it comes to that?
We will speak not of the physical vessels that you have,
mm-hmm.
but of the individuality that you carry.
Okay.
The individuality is unique. It is beautiful. It is dark. It is light. It is purple. It is whatever you choose it to be. It is beautiful. To want to look, feel, sound, or experience this reality like others, meaning that you wish to be the same or a clone of each other, is unrealistic and not of your best frequency, your highest frequency, the highest version of you. How can you operate or look like or sound like one another and still be your unique self? So this is causing conflict. This is causing turmoil because you have two different vibrations happening in your being. You want to fit in and you want to stand out. So it becomes a choice on which one you would like to do. Both are correct, both are wrong. You choose which one you would like to do. Both are valid experiences in this life. But when you do this and you truly move into that choice is the key here. You truly move into that choice, all is well. But it is this conflict, it's this contest you're having with your higher self and your physical self. Did that answer your question?
It did. That resonates deeply. Thank you. Okay, well, we are going to wrap up because this episode has been long in a great way. John, do you have anything, John, and all the collective energies with you, is there anything that you feel is important for the Positive Head listening audience or anyone who's tuning in right now to know or be aware of before we leave and wrap up?
We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you connecting with us. We would encourage more of this. We also appreciate helping others, moving through this time of turmoil, helping the planet, as many of you are. We would like everyone to know that you are all loved very deeply, and you are all safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello.
Was that better than last time coming out?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, how was that for you?
I was, it's always like, I hear your words, like I can hear it.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. It's like, wah, 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 wah,
it's like
wah.
in Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Wah, wah,
it's
wah.
like, wah, 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 wah. And then, this time I had like a lot of stuff going on, and they were like, just relax, just go over here. Essentially, like moving me aside, like
just step to the side, Amby.
Just step over here real quick. Yeah. But it's always comforting. It's always nice. It's always, it's never scary.
Mm. Wait, so you're saying every time that I ask something, every time we do this, you hear it like wah, wah, wah? Mm-hmm. Then how do you know what I say at the end?
Sometimes I remember and sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's more of I'm present, then I'm over to the side. Sometimes I'll try to listen and they're like, no, then go to the side. Or sometimes I'll be over to the side and they'll be like, be more present. It just depends on what the subject is.
Interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't know that till now. Cool. Well, thank you so much for getting into state and connecting with John and bringing him through. That was awesome.
Thank you for allowing me.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on here. I'm always honored when I look at my schedule and there's nobody in there and I'm like, yay, this means Ambi's supposed to come back. Speaking of my schedule and this show series, if you have a story that you want to share, if you want to be on this segment, please feel free to reach out to me. I've met so many incredible, amazing people, including this girl right here. She changed my freaking life. Literally, she changed my life. And and it was all just from her listening and reaching out and just sharing her story. So if any of you are thinking about it, definitely do it. And email me at alexa@positivehead.com. I need more people. I have a couple more lined up, but I want to get my schedule filled. And also, if you guys liked this, definitely check out our podcast, Innerbloom podcast. We're on iTunes and Google Play and Castbox. And we actually have retreats that we do. We have a retreat coming up that it's sold out next weekend. But next weekend or next Thursday night in Philadelphia, we have a live event that we're going to be doing. Yeah, Ambi's going to be in town, so we're going to be doing we're going to record our podcast live. We're going to do some intuitive reading, some channeling, some just fun conversation. That flock of birds that always flies across my window just flew across. That's always like such a good sign for me.
Yay!
Yay. And it's just a suggested donation investment. So definitely come check it out, reach out to us. And Ambi, anything else you want to share? Oh, share about you and like what you're doing and how to reach out to you.
Yeah. Okay. So, come be my friend on Facebook. My name is Ambrosia Matthews Intuitive. Or you could just find my personal page, Ambrosia Matthews. From there, I do mini readings every Tuesday night at 9:00. It's filling up, so I'm excited about that. But they are no charge. I also do private readings on my website, which is ambrosiamatthews.com. And then I also do coaching. So you go into your intuitive skills. It's a 4-week course. And I also do group events via Skype or in person.
Awesome. Rocking it. Yeah. So reach out to Ambi if you're interested in a reading or any of those awesome things. And yeah, we love you so, so, so much. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's episode. If you're a listener with a story to share and are interested in being featured on a future episode of this special series, you can email me at alexa@positivehead.com. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear Brandon constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration, and if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place we know of to do it. Period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Otherwise, tune in next Friday for another HeAd Posse episode. And until then, as Brandon always says, journey well.